The Out of Bounds Show podcast is powered by the DeWalt tools at Ace Bolt and Screw. Visit acebolt.net for a location near you.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out Warning.
Live in the studio. It's the Out Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
And we're off again. Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone from rainy Omaha, Nebraska, overlooking TD Ameritrade once again. Looks like the lights are on. Well, I just noticed that. They are on. I guess they're working on the field. It never stops. We'll see what happens today. As far as the weather, we know what happened last night, an absolute and total disaster for the Hail State baseball team to start the game in the first inning, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Hail State down a game against Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt wins tonight. It's over. Mississippi State wins. Boom. Game 3, winner take all. We'll talk about it today, among other things. We'll shift off the topic just a little bit. We'll have Mike Detillier join us at 8:30, and we'll drop some other guests. Blake's got the Blakey Blakester, Blake Mania. I mean, this guy is borderline out of control, hopefully in a good way. Blake will join us in the next segment. And then the next segment, and the next, and so on. So, Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Live from Omaha. The show is powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook, an award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. A couple of different ways that you can hit us up, get in touch with us on a rainy Tuesday here. Hope wherever you are, you got some sunshine. Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line. 601-995-1059. That's 995-1059. Twitter handle at BoBounds. And the text line for you is 601-885. 601-885-3776. Brought to you by Mississippi Ag and your next John Deere tractor that will help you manage your land. John Deere, America's Tractor, Mississippi Ag, 2 locations, Canton and Pearl. And want to say good morning to you and welcome in. We've run into a lot of people out here that say they listen to the show. And a big chunk of them do not live in the state of Mississippi. So thank you. You know, the Out of Bounds radio app has been a valuable asset, not just for this show, but for the station and other shows. Sometimes they realize that, sometimes they don't. But we created that bad boy a decade ago, and it has been on fire, and it has been hit well into 7 figures as far as streaming. And it's a monster, and we're going to do some other things to it. So thanks for downloading the Out of Bounds radio app, and we would love for you to listen to the show on the app or thezone1059.com or ESPN 1059 The Zone. So Blake will join me at 7:15 throughout the show, and then we'll drop Mike Detillier at 8:30, and it looks like we'll have another guest, but I'll let you know exactly how that's going to look here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Let's start with last night. First inning, Cam James gets a home run off a Jack Leiter, and you feel pretty good about getting a swing like that on a talented top 10 first-round pick, right? And then you go into the bottom of the first, and everything falls apart. Christian Macleod doesn't have his control, and then, Vandy hits a 3-run bomb. All of a sudden, you're down 7-1, and you're not going to recover. 99 out of 100 times, you're not going to recover against a Vanderbilt team like that. So, it's unfortunate. Something happened with Macleod down the stretch, and I'm not a sports psychologist or a pitching coach. So, obviously, control, not hitting your spots, the ball not breaking like you need it to. Your breaking ball's got to be really, really top-notch, and it just didn't happen for the young man. You hate it for him. He'll still get drafted, and, maybe he can find his mojo, and they think he's got talent and so on. But that was a rough outing, and one of several going down the stretch. So now the question is, what are they going to do as far as pitching tonight, Mississippi State? Because here's the deal. Your lineup is not a lineup that's usually going to generate 8 more runs against a lighter and whoever else Vandy pitches. Obviously, they came in with their super talented closer, which somewhat surprised me. But I guess Corbin's mentality is he's just going to throw that guy again and not worry about it. I talked about the group of 5 yesterday and how they're a work in progress. Cam James, who hit a bomb, Luke Hancock, Brad Cumbas, Logan Tanner, and Kellum Clark. And, they are players that you sign at Mississippi State, and they're going to be good players. I think the goal has to be to, and this is not a shot against them, again, they believe they're going to be really, really good. I mean, they're nice players right now, and they believe that they're going to be good players by next March 1. But you need more refined and advanced players in the lineup. I think the day and age of having to throw down that much development on that big of a chunk of your lineup should be over. And here's where I'm going with that. You need. I'm not saying that you have to have Westberg and Foscue type, although that would be nice, right? But you need, I think, something between Tanner Allen. I'm talking about at the plate because fielding doesn't matter. I'm kidding, kind of. Something skill set wise between Tanner Allen and Foscue and Westberg. I think you need more than that, more of that in your lineup. I think that's who you are. That's the way you should be able to recruit and so on. I think the idea of recruiting raw bone, very raw kids that need an enormous amount of development, I think that's great, and I think that you'll always recruit those kids. But you're Mississippi State. You should be a top 5, 6, 7 recruiter, which I think you are for the most part. But the group of 5 is not quite there yet. And then, DeBrule's a nice player who finds his way on base, but is it going to scare you? And you're not getting anything from Forsythe. So that's kind of where you are. Obviously, I'm not including Tanner and Rowdy. They can play, and Tanner was on base again last night. That guy, what do you say? He had a double hit by pitch to go along with a run scored. He's going to do his thing, so to speak. But you like Cameron James, Luke Hancock, Logan Tanner, Brad Cumbas, and Kellum Clark. They're all big kids, strong kids who can hit for power. And again, they need to be really good next year. They'll have to take the step. I mean, there's no more. They need some more to. That's got to happen. That's got to happen between this coming weekend and next February 15th. So my point is, you're not a lineup that was going to go get 7 or 8 more runs. Not 8. 8 would have won it, right? 6 at one point. But you know where I'm going. So we'll talk about pitching scenarios tonight and just the overall analysis of the program. But they still got a shot. Backs against the wall. We'll see how it looks. The show is brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Any age, any sport, any injury, they've got you covered. Any orthopedic hiccup, MississippiSportsMedicine.com. That's MississippiSportsMedicine.com. Blake Mania coming up with me next. You're listening Out of Bounds. Good morning. Welcome in. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Here we go. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Boar's Head. Premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere. All right. Good morning, good morning. Welcome in from Omaha. Looks like it's going to clear out. I sure hope so, but it looks like it will, according to my app. Now, I don't know if I have the right weather app or not, but anyway, I'm looking at no precipitation. There was no precipitation in the bottom of the ninth, sorry. Let's see. I think things look pretty good. Yeah. Golly, the weather here is nuts. I mean, it's like a cold front for Omaha in the what are we? I don't even know what's going on. Late June. I think I've been gone for like 45 of the last 70 nights, and with all this baseball and some other trips and so on. So I literally just realized this June 29th, and 4th of July is coming up. Incredible. Hold on. 4th of July is this weekend. Wow. All right. Good morning. Welcome in the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Madison Ridgeland Academy. If you're on the fence about your child's future, call today. 601-856-4455. Schedule a tour. See everything you want to see academically at Madison Ridgeland Academy. I think we've got Blake Mania on the Modelo guest line. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Blake, are you?
Yes, sir.
Are you in a tunnel, in a train? What's happening?
No, I tried to step out. I am at a hotel. I tried to step outside to talk to you because there's a lot going on. A lot of maroon and white and black and gold moving around this morning early today in Omaha.
I got you, buddy. How you doing?
Man, doing better than, I guess, Mississippi State after last night, right?
That was a tough one, man. Christian Macleod has really struggled, and he struggled last night. And you can't hit people, Blake, and you can't walk people against Vandy.
5 of 8 runs were free passes last night, though. 5 of 8.
Yep. So, you hate it for the young man, but the bottom line is we have to call it like we see it. And It was not a good performance. He hasn't pitched well down the stretch. We critique quarterbacks among other players, basketball players, and it was a poor performance. So, I don't. But going forward, what will be interesting, Blake? I actually thought Lamonis and Foxhall threw some guys that I was surprised they threw after Macleod, thinking that they would be able to help tonight. So that really surprised me.
Yeah, the Brandon Smith one was interesting to me as well. I thought maybe you let Cade Smith ride it out a little bit longer. And I don't know, look, it's always hindsight to we do this in football and every other sport, right? It's always hindsight to second-guess a coach's decision. I don't second-guess starting Macleod. I mean, there's no one else to start in this option. What I maybe second-guessed is the first guy out of the pen. Was Chase Patrick the right guy to come out with that many guys on base in that moment where if you hold it to 4-1, the feel of the stadium is different. As soon as that ball passed over the fence and it was 7-1, you might as well have had nobody in maroon and white in the stadium.
Right. Well, again, you're right. I don't know what they were looking at as far as matchup with Chase Patrick and the Vanderbilt Commodore lineup. But bottom line is, a team like Vandy gets up that big in the first, and the way that you're built to hit, or not built, well, the way that your lineup's built, it's just been an absolute grind to manufacture runs, okay? And so I think when you look at that, it never felt like they were going to have the capability to get one, to get two, to get one, to get two, and get back in the game, and they didn't. How about that?
I think that's fair, and you saw in the middle innings maybe like 3, 5, 6, something like 3 or 4 of those innings right there in the middle where I think one of them, Tanner Allen, leadoff double, you end up having 2 guys on, but you only get 1 run, right? A little bit later, you kind of do the same thing, and you hit into a double play with Forsythe, you get no run. So that's been your offense. Not necessarily all season, but certainly lately at Omaha, that's been your offense. So if you miss those opportunities against Jack Leiter and you also spot him a 6-run lead after an inning, I mean, what are your odds? 1 out of a million?
Yes. 1 out of a million. What do you think they do tonight?
I have no idea, though. No way Bednar shows up today, right?
No.
I don't think so. So it's got to be, I mean, I guess they pitched Fristow last night, so I don't think he would start. Is it Houston Harding?
Houston threw on Friday?
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I do not remember his pitch count. I don't want to surprise anybody. I feel like I've watched 97 baseball games, so I can't, that's the last thing.
He got into the fifth, maybe 80 pitches, something like that.
Wow. That's a lot. I mean, for him.
Maybe
of course, he's
less.
kind of that guy that looks like he could throw all day because he just throws a bunch of, off-speed, fun, junk type stuff. Maybe that's the guy, Blake. Maybe it is Houston Harding. Maybe
I don't know
he
who
can
else it
throw
is.
enough garbage to, to get Vandy out of their rhythm and off balance and so on. And the bottom line is you can't hit people and you can't walk people. Good Lord.
Nope.
I think everybody had seen enough of that the other night on Friday. Was it they walked 11 batters after the 5th inning?
I think that's correct.
Like
Hootie had only walked 1 maybe or something like that in his start, and then they brought in the relievers, and through the back half of the game it was like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's talk about everybody who's on the table. Houston Harding. I really thought Cade Smith could be a factor today. I guess he could come back. He didn't throw that much, right?
No. So you have Preston Johnson, who didn't throw yesterday, out of the bullpen. You've still got Stinnett, who hasn't thrown since the Friday 3-run homer in the 9th against Texas. You've got, I guess, Fristow only threw an inning last night, I think, maybe something like that. So, I'm at a loss. But it goes back to what we didn't get a chance to talk about over the weekend because we weren't on. But the difference in playing Saturday and not playing Saturday. If you're not playing Saturday against Texas, you're starting Will Bednar last night, and who knows what we're talking about right now. Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, it just you're so far behind the 8 ball having to burn Bednar on Saturday that it's going to be all hands on deck for Lemonis and just hope the offense can get something moving. You can't fall behind today.
No, well, you're behind the 8 ball because you really only had one legitimate starter this year, Blake.
Yep. No, you're right.
It's also, it's not just, well, you had to burn Bednar. Well, it's a program that you would kind of think would have, a little more juice as far as starters at this point. Now,
you didn't even bring your third starter. Didn't even make the trip.
Yeah, and so I just think this coaching staff's done an amazing job. Look, I can look at it a couple of different ways. They went through a bunch of different coaches. I don't know if that hurt a little bit in recruiting, missed a little bit here and there. I don't keep up with all of what the Major League Baseball draft does every year, and so on. But you had Bednar. And then you kind of just scrambled around, and yet you're in the National Championship Series. So it's pretty remarkable what Lemonis, Foxhall, and Gautreau have done. The flip side is I think most people tend to think that, well, I would think that they would have more frontline pitching. I'm not saying 3 Bednars, but, Blake's going to be with us throughout the show today. We'll continue to debate and discuss what is going on here in Omaha. Welcome in. Good morning. The show is brought to you by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck, #1 Jeep truck accessory stores in Mississippi, ricksprotruck.com, and their new retail location in Gluckstadt, Madison County. SEC Insider Hit coming up next. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is presented by Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Your golf game starts with Edwin Watts Golf Shop. All right. Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show. We got another game tonight. National Championship. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? The big stage of college baseball. TD Ameritrade. Omaha, Nebraska. Woo! Lose and go home. Win and advance. Hail State down by a game to the Vanderbilt Commodores. And Blake Scott has decided that the team that he hates more than any other team in America is the Vanderbilt baseball team. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official health care provider of the Out of Bounds Show. In the hotel where I'm staying, Blake's in another hotel. I've got a lot of Vanderbilt people here. And there's not, I mean, it's like, 9-1, 10-1 every Vandy to Mississippi State fan. It was 90% crowd. 90% of the crowd last night was Hail State. But the problem is, like, they're nice when you meet them in the lobby. And, they're like, shake their head. They're like, your baseball fans are insane in a good way. It's let's just call it like we see it. It's a tough pill to swallow if you're Mississippi State, because Vandy kind of cares. Like, their fans are here. They're very, you know how we talk about golf clapping? All right. Let's use Georgia football and Texas Longhorns football as an example. Now, I think Georgia has changed over the years, and with Kirby Smart and so on. But it was very Martini and Merlot crowd. Okay? Bama is barbecue and beer. Bama doesn't give a damn about Friday night. They don't care what band we're breaking in Tuscaloosa, the next culinary thing. Bama thinks about one thing: beating your tail in football. In Athens and Austin, it's about martinis, Merlot, culinary, the next sushi place, the next band we're going to break. And here's my takeaway from visiting with Vanderbilt fans. And again, they're nice. And I mean, I'm sure some are, whatever. But they're just kind of here. I mean, they're not super committed. They're not going to games during the year. Okay? They're not getting out there 2 hours before Friday, Saturday game and getting the charcoal ready and marinating all the wings and the ribs and the pork tenderloin and the deer poppers and the welcome home beef ribeye poppers that I had twice this year in the left field lounge and all that stuff. And they're not spending Friday through Sunday hours and hours and hours, at Duty Noble. That's not how they're wired. They're here with their pretty yellow little gold, golf shirts on. They're Peter Millar'ing it up. And don't get me wrong, I like Peter Millar a lot. And, they've got their Cole Haans on, and they're kind of bouncing around. They don't really know a lot about the whole thing. They just know we're really good in the postseason, and that's when we show up. And honestly, that's kind of a kick in the stones, right? Or a kick in the gut to Mississippi State. They're just kind of, here's what my takeaway has been. They show up in June. That's what they do. They don't, they keep up with it a little bit in March, a little bit in April, a little bit in May. But they're the Martini and Merlot crowd. They're not on the edge of their seat. They're not living and breathing every pitch. They're not investing themselves in, knowing the players and exactly what's going on. They're just so damn good and so damn talented. They check in about Memorial Day weekend. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. Blake, what's up?
Well, I think that's an interesting point that you just brought up, and I think that you can piggyback on it. Remember how you've brought this up before? Sometimes the dude effect is positive for Mississippi State, and sometimes there's an air of anxiety, right, and pressure, and an air of, oh, gosh, don't screw it up. I think last night, after the first inning, that was very much evident in the stadium in that Vanderbilt's fans weren't rattled by the home run off-lighter. They weren't rattled by the one that, Hancock almost put back-to-back. You were only about 6 feet from going back-to-back with Cam James and Hancock in 2 solo home runs in the first inning. And instead, just 30 minutes later, you're then down 7-1. And the vibe in the stadium felt what you're talking about. Mississippi State fans felt like, oh, here we go again. And Vanderbilt fans felt like this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're here to just win this thing. And whether we do or we don't, we still think we're the best team in the country.
Right. No,
and that was the difference in the stadium.
And they are not committed. They're not interested, except in the postseason. And even then, even the regional is kind of a, okay, so now things are starting to get serious. Do I need to call Biff and ask him, kind of what we've been doing this year and who I need to – I've heard about this guy, Rocker and Leiter. Okay, what else is going on?
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, it's a Martini and Merlot crowd. Yep. They're not – they don't know they have no idea what's going on in college baseball. If they went to Duty Noble and Swayze for 4 weekends in a row – all right, let's just say that it was staggered to where each team, Duty Noble had a 3-game, the Dude had a 3-game series, then Swayze, then the Dude, then Swayze. It would blow their mind. They wouldn't be able to even wrap their brain around it. And so that is what is also fascinating. Corbin has found this model where they are so filthy talented. And often, they're Bama. Okay, they're Bama. They have ridiculous talent, and they are loaded, and they have one Major League Baseball pick after another. And while Mississippi State and Ole Miss's roster is very, very talented, it's more. Let me walk you through football a little bit. Vandy is Alabama. As far as their talent, not their commitment of their fan base, okay? Just bear with me for a second. Vandy is their roster is Alabama. Mississippi State and Ole Miss is who recruits around number 9?
I was at Florida.
Yeah. Okay, Mississippi State and Ole Miss have a Florida Gator roster, which is very, very, very good and very, very talented and still has Major League Baseball players. And you can still beat anybody in the country. Now, baseball's more weird and wild. That gap is smaller in baseball, okay? But I just kind of wanted to frame it up for you. Vandy has Alabama football talent. And to me, I would actually argue that Ole Miss had more kind of Georgia LSU talent this year. But you could put Mississippi State and Ole Miss kind of in that Florida talent as a football team that recruits around about number 9, which is still loaded, but not Bama. So I just wanted to walk you through kind of what my takeaway is of walking around here this week. They literally have no idea what's going on in college baseball. None. Like, you know how we talked about Jay Johnson taking the LSU job? They don't know that happened. They don't care. It doesn't. It doesn't register with them.
Right.
And it does. It doesn't have to. They have so much. Like, if you tried to sit them down, if I went to lunch today at this bar that I can see from my hotel room that serves some really good burgers, and I sat down and said, "Hey, the SEC just hired Jim Schlossnagle from TCU that went to A&M, and Jay Johnson from Arizona, who is now at LSU," they would go, I don't know who those guys are. And they would be sitting there going, I don't know why you're like going over this with me. So just to let you know, they dip their toe in the college baseball water. That's what they do. They don't. Kevin O'Sullivan, that name doesn't mean anything to them. Jay Johnson, Schlossnagle, Van Horn, all that goes right over their head. They're like, well, we just kind of got to the party about 8 years ago, and this guy named Corbin puts a ridiculous amount of talent out on the field, and we kind of get going around Memorial Day, and I start, I start calling my buddies and getting an idea of what's going on.
Well, let me ask you this. Though. Given what you just talked about and what is, I think, very obvious, and the commitment quotient that Mississippi State and Ole Miss bring to the table, what then, can you put your finger on, now that you're sitting here on the cusp of finally knocking off the one thing that Mississippi State hasn't put together, and that's a national title? Other than the easy answer of, scholarships, what is the biggest difference in the way Corbin has been able to build Vanderbilt over the last 15 years to what Mississippi State's trying to get over the hump to? What do they have to do? How do they push that boulder up?
Well, I don't think this is going to sit well with I still think they have to upgrade the talent on the roster, Blake. I think it's pretty simple. I know that the MSU roster is good, really good, but this team is special at winning, but they're not special at pitching.
Baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not special at pitching. They're not special at hitting, and they're not special at fielding. Not that I really care about fielding, but the point is, they are special at winning. I think that's a testament to Cohen and Lamonis. I do, and Mangum and Gautreau. Man, Gautreau told a story the other night. This was pretty powerful, in my opinion. So Jake Gautreau is, the top assistant along with Foxhall on the team, and he's been a big piece of the puzzle. And he's the hitting coach, the recruiting coordinator, and just like Foxhall, I know he wears 29 other hats. That's not even. I don't even give him his due. But I ran into Gautreau the other night, and without sharing too much, we spent a while talking about the game on Saturday. This was late Saturday evening. I'd gone to a steakhouse. We ran into each other. He was with his wife. He was just kind of chilling, and I can't imagine, right? And he said he was talking about the team, and he said, I knew we were going to win in the pregame. And I said, why? And he said, well, when we were in our meeting, he said, I told him we're going to win the game. This is Gautreau talking to the hitters, Blake. He said, I told him, look, we're going to win the game. And he said, literally all of them were shaking their head. Yes, we are. He said, I could just feel it in the room, the way that they were locked in, that they weren't going to lose. And then he said, of course, I'm always monitoring TA and kind of, how he goes about his business. And you could just tell he was locked in. But here's what he told me. He said, Bo, I've been at the mountaintop. I was a All-American player at Tulane, College World Series, first-round pick, and lost it all. Okay? And as he was telling me this story, and he said, so, baseball giveth and taketh away. And he said, so I've been at a place where you thought you were bulletproof. I mean, everybody's telling you how great you are. And you're coming off this amazing season, and you're going to the College World Series, and you're a big-time Major League Baseball pick, and then it's all taken away from you. And I think when he was telling me his story about hitting rock bottom, okay? I mean, this guy's you could argue he's in a group of, let's just say, 5 guys as the number 1 assistant in the country, all right? I mean, he just turned down Rice, and then he turned down A&M as an assistant. Rice is a head coach, A&M as an assistant. But what I thought was really powerful as he was talking about his story and the team and the way he works with players is he was like, I've had it all, and it was all taken away, and I had to find a way to build it all back up. And he said, I use all of that approach with every single one of my players, but it is a different approach with every single hitter. He said, obviously, it's a different approach with Tanner Leggett than it is with Logan Tanner, than it is with Brad Cumbas, than it is with, Kellum Clark. But that story of, here, I've been to the mountaintop, and then I lost it all, and I've been back to the mountaintop in the National Championship Series was unbelievable, Blake. The way he,
that's
laid
invaluable.
That out.
That's an invaluable piece of what do you call it, like coaching experience to bring to a group of 18 to 22-year-olds, right?
Right.
And I think you see, and that's what Gautreau I think was probably telling you too, was when he's talking to Tanner Allen and like when he's looking at Tanner Allen, obviously Tanner Allen is the engine that drives this ship. I mean, it's without question, right? He is everything that pushes you forward. However, it goes as Tanner goes, but if your car doesn't have wheels on it, it doesn't matter if you have a great engine, right? Like you still got, like as you called them, the group of 5. And so what Gautreau's been able to do to keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak, this season, honestly is remarkable because it's like we've kind of had, tricycle wheels on a Lamborghini, so to speak. We've been trying to manage, playing understaffed or under talented to the rest of our competition, and yet here they sit in the championship series. And Bo, let me ask you this: how important is it, as they showed Ron Polk yesterday in the stadium, and there's all this history of Mississippi State, but how important is it that not only are you on this Omaha streak, but now for just the second time in 80-year history of your baseball program being relevant to the national stage, you're actually in the final series? I mean, even if I don't want to put the cart before the horse, they could still win 2 games. I mean, no doubt. But even if you don't win this final series, how important is it to actually be here and not to have lost to Texas on Saturday?
It's huge. It's huge.
It's night and day, right?
It is. It is. And look, it will be crushing if they lose tonight or tomorrow night, depending on how it plays out. As it should be. As it should. But you're right. You just nailed it. They're kind of doing it. I don't want to take away from the talent on the roster, but it doesn't look like the Florida team that won it a few years ago or the Vanderbilt team that's here or that won it 2 years ago or some other programs. And I just think that they've got to, even with the scholarship, blah, 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 they may never have as much talent as Vandy, but you got to have a couple more bats in the lineup that are more refined in advance, and you have to have another starter that is really good. Doesn't have to be Dakota Hudson or Ethan Small, but they need to be Ethan Small light. And then your third guy needs to be kind of Will Bednar.
Yeah, an upside guy that can flash.
Light. Yeah. So, look, you're right. They're trying to piece this together with, look, Coastal Carolina did it a couple years ago. I didn't follow it then, by the way. So just FYI, I don't know anything about that team. And Fresno State did it like 10 years ago. But and Mississippi State's a bigger, better, badder program than those. So I'm not comparing that. But it is something to keep an eye on. And look, they're talking about the new class they have coming in, more talent, and so on. So I guess they're in the process. I'll say this: the group of five has to take a pretty damn big step forward next year if you're going to be, who you want to be. I mean, Cam James, Luke Hancock, Brad Cumbus, Logan Tanner, and Kellum Clark have to be. They're all big, physical players. You haven't had quite as much of that. They got to get bigger, faster, stronger. They got to get better at the plate. And you need a lot of competition at shortstop next year and second base. And we'll see. So, but they could win tonight. I mean, you got to find a way to win by one run over Vandy, and Vandy's not throwing rocker until tomorrow, Blake. So, who do you think Vandy will throw?
I think so. There's two options. Christian Little is the guy who started.
That's who I saw last night.
In the middle of last week, so to speak. I don't know what game it was. May have been Stanford. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then there's another guy. I was talking to Steve Robertson yesterday. We just met in Omaha and doing some stuff, and there's another guy, the guy that started for them on Sunday when Mississippi State was in Nashville and gave up 4 or 5. I think Mississippi State was up like 4-0, 5-0 on that guy. So they ran him pretty quickly when he started against State in Nashville earlier in the season. I can't recall his name off the top of my head, but those are the two guys I expect them to start. One of those two guys today.
All right, so there you go. We'll continue to march on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue. The official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. Show is also presented by Juniker Jewelry Store. Guys, if you're in the market for a wedding ring, engagement ring, don't screw it up. Juniker Jewelry Store will walk you through the process with the budget you have. Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison, Highland Colony. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. The Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line is 601-995-1059. Twitter handle @BowBounds. Brought to you by Ace Bolt & Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools. And the Mississippi Ag John Deere Tractor text line is 601-885-3776. Let's see. Oh, man, I missed all these. Yeah, I missed all these texts. We'll have to get into some of them. I didn't even look at the text line, Blake. That's how focused I was on our conversation.
And more focused than a Mississippi State pitcher, right? I'm scared.
Oh, wow.
Hot one today. Wow. Hot one today.
Troy in Austin says, this is funny. You guys sound like you were deflated this morning. What a difference between yesterday's show and today. The word of the day is deflated. Thanks, Troy. The word of the day is deflated, according to Troy in Austin, Texas. I'd like to hear from you on the word deflated, and what do you think could happen tonight? Plus, we've got a couple of college football topics to get into. Did you see that Jim Harbaugh quarterback stat, Blake?
Yeah, I think I tried to tag you in it. That's a remarkable stat we have to break down.
All right, we'll get into that coming up next. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, WRKS, ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Got Blake Mania with me. Welcome in on a Tuesday. National Championship Series tonight. Hail State and Vandy, Game 2. Blake joins us on the Modelo guest line. Back in a second.